It's a proven fact that Yankee fans have the highest blood pressure of all MLB fans.
Locating so far tonight. Full count pitch to Urshela. A swing and a drive to left field. Gio Urshela's hit a grand slam!
1 minute you're celebrating a Gio Urshela grand slam to ice the wild card series, and just a couple days later, you go through this.
Chapman, no regular lefty. 3-2. Brasso sends one into left field. Gardner going back, and it is up and gone! Mike Brasso has homered, and the Rays have a 2-1 lead.
Oh no, he didn't smile this year. Welcome to Landmark Baseball. My name is Josh, and the Yankees are the second to last team we'll be doing in the AL East. Then we got the Rays after them, and I think we'll move on to the NL East after this. Let's get into the summary. Despite an injury-plagued 2020 season, the Yankees managed to finish 33-27, which was good for second in the AL East. In the playoffs, they got eliminated by the Tampa Bay Rays in the ALDS, as you saw in the previous video. I'm sorry. The impact of the injuries was quite apparent. After a hot 16-6 start to the season, they then went 5-15 and ended on a 12-6 record. The team WAR leader was DJ LeMahieu with a WAR of 2.8. The team's biggest surprise this year was Luke Voit with his league-leading 22 home runs. For perspective, Luke Voit had 21 home runs in 2019, but he had twice the at-bats that he had in 2020. The elephant in the room for New York Yankees fans, though, is that they're losing Masahiro Tanaka, DJ LeMahieu, and James Paxton to free agency. In the past, you think, oh, it's the Yankees, they have the money to re-sign all these people, but this year's a little bit different. The Steinbrenner family, who owns the Yankees, gets all their money from the Yankees. So in the COVID 2020 season, where they weren't making as much revenue, quote-unquote, we can expect that leaves them with a lot less money to re-sign these guys, like they could in years past. Tanaka's been a staple in the Yankees rotation for years now. DJ put up MVP-type numbers this year, and Yankee fans love him. And Paxton's just been a solid middle-of-the-rotation guy. They can re-sign guys like him, but Tanaka and DJ are the big losses here. The odds for them to get one or both of them back are kind of slim. And all of a sudden, Yankees fans are looking at each other like, did we just miss our window? And the answer to that is, I don't really know. One of the big arguments of the last offseason was whether or not the owners had as much money as we think that they do. And the Yankees are a prime example of whether or not what they said last offseason was true. If the Yankees have the money, they'll re-sign their guys and make sure that they keep winning. But if they can't put up the money to re-sign DJ, I think what we feared is true, that the owners really don't have as much money. Free agency plans could be a whole separate video though, so let's get into the prospects. The Yankees were never known for a plus farm system, but this year they ranked 21st in the entire league. Their only top 100 prospect's Jason Dominguez. He's number 48 overall, but he's the only 17-year-old prospect in the top 100. He's gotten Mickey Mantle comps, Mike Trout comps, and Willie Mays comps. He's a switch-hitting outfielder with a ton of power. Every time a video of him hitting gets posted to Twitter, it goes viral for like 2 days. But he's only 17. Definitely a name you should know, but not something you should have to worry about for a few more years yet. Outside Dominguez, there's no other really elite prospects in this group, but the top couple are pretty interesting. Clark Schmidt was wowing everybody in spring training with his curveball. He came up for a little bit. He wasn't that impressive, but he only pitched in 6 innings. And then Davy Garcia, he came up for a few starts. He had 2 starts where he went 7 innings deep, only giving up 2 and 3 earned runs respectively. His other handful of starts were a little shaky, but it was only a few starts. He's also only 21, so the ceiling on him is kind of unknown. Definitely going to be someone to keep an eye on though. Moving on to the MLB team, it was plagued with injuries as I mentioned earlier in the video. But the production came from places that no one really expected. Let's start with Luke Voit. As I mentioned earlier, he was the league leader in home runs with 22, and he was also second in RBIs with 52. His OPS was 948, his OPS plus was 156. My point is, you can go on and on talking about how good he was offensively this year. For a team where Judge was hurt, Glaber was hurt for a little while, Stanton was hurt, Voit led the charge when it came to filling in the offensive holes. Which leads me into Clint Frazier, who his career has been frustrating to say the least. He'd be a starter on just about any other team. Fun fact, he was high school rivals with Austin Meadows. They went to nearby high schools, but in 2020, Clint Frazier played in 39 of the 60 games, getting to fill in for Judge while he was injured. And he stepped up, to be honest. He had a 900 OPS, he had 26 RBIs, 8 home runs. The on-base percentage looked really good, 394, 149 OPS plus. He had a good season, and I hope that gives Aaron Boone the confidence to play him more next year. Then there's the other arguable team MVP in DJ LeMahieu. 364 batting average, that was the league leader, and I think it's the first time any player's done it in both leagues. On-base percentage was 421, 1.01 OPS, 177 OPS plus. I think he had a better season than Luke Voit. And DJ's one of the few stars on this team that didn't miss hardly any games with injuries. It'd be a bit of a shame if he doesn't get re-signed. He's a fan favorite, and straight up just a really good ball player. However, there is one member of the returning offensive core that there are major concerns about. I'm not the only one to think this. Gary Sanchez did not have an injury-laden season. He was just a bad hitter. I've got the numbers up there, but as you can see, he's been a declining hitter. Average is down, Ks are up, OPS is down. Not a good show of things for a guy who was the fastest player to reach 100 home runs. Yeah, he hits the ball hard, but he doesn't hit the ball. Top 2% in the league in K percentage, 11th in whiff percent. This is a major concern for a team that thought they had a rock behind the plate who was going to be there for years, but his hitting numbers are just, they're forcing him out of the lineup. Garrett Cole, their star ace, doesn't even want to pitch to Gary Sanchez. He'd rather pitch to Kyle Higashioka. He calls better games for him. To speak on Garrett Cole, the Yankees signed him last offseason to a record-setting contract. He wasn't quite as good as he was in the last couple years, but still an elite pitcher by all means. But Garrett Cole isn't the problem, he's the remedy to the problem, or the attempted remedy. This is a pretty mixed bag of a pitching staff, but the problem isn't the bullpen, it's the starting rotation. On top of losing one of their best starters in Tanaka, they're also losing J. Happ and James Paxton, as we mentioned earlier. That's 3 out of the 5 of their rotation. Outside of injuries bringing this team down, the starting rotation's right there with them. Depends on the money they have, but they need to add some sort of reliable starting pitching this offseason. To finish up here, it's a weird vibe in New York. Yankees fans can't quite tell if their window's up or not. And don't get me wrong, the Yankees will still be competitive over the next couple years, but they don't stand a chance against the Rays or at a World Series if they can't manage to re-sign their own guys like DJ. If they can't even bring back their own guys, how are they supposed to bring in these other big stars? Yankees fans should be very uneasy about 2021. You don't go far in the playoffs if you don't have starting pitching. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave a like if it deserved it. Subscribe if I deserved it. Follow us on Twitter if you think we deserved it even further. Thanks a lot. Tune in for the next one. We're talking about the Rays.